What's up and welcome. I am Matthew Msingati, the designer and developer from South Africa. In this video, I am going to walk you through Figma bits and pieces. Who is this course for? This course is for absolute beginners. We are not going to create a project necessarily, but I'm just going to show you some tips and tricks and also how to use Figma as a beginner. First things first, let's just give a brief about who am I and what I do. I am Matthew Msingati. Not only am a designer, but I am a developer. If you might be interested, you can check my coding channel, which is Coded Design. This is where I code user interfaces that I am designing here at Coded UI. If you might want to contact me, maybe you want to learn something, feel free to go to my website and then you can click here on Discovery Call. You can give me your email and your name and then click submit. This is a 10-hour coaching course where I teach you exactly what you want to know. If you might want to be updated about Coded UI and Coded Design, feel free to check the link in the description below and join my newsletter. I hope you are excited as I am. Let's just jump straight into it. So, as a beginner, you want to know, how do I create a page in Figma? Let's do that. As you can see here on Figma, we've got this icon for a frame. If you click here, as you can see, this is a frame. Let's say this was the active icon at the moment. If you press F on your keyboard, as you can see, you can jump to the frame. So as you click here in a frame, you can see here you've got a lot of options. With Figma, you can design for website, you can design for mobile, and also you can design for paper printing. So let's just quickly check the option. If you want to design for a phone, you can click here and choose the size of your choice. If you know you're going to design for an Android, you can choose the Android. If you are going to design for an iPhone, you can choose for iPhone. And then we've got the tablet. If you might want to design something specifically for a tablet, you can choose one of these. If you might want to design for a desktop, maybe it's a website, you can come here and choose one of these. And then if you might want to make a presentation, obviously you can check here. Let's just quickly jump to this one, which is paper. If you want to design for paper printing, you can choose this one. You are free to go and check some of the options which we are not going to use in this course. In this course, we are going to check the phone and the desktop. So that is it. These are the options for the frame. However, if what you are looking for is not here, you are able to create your own size. How do you do that? You can go to the frame and then you can drag, click and drag, something like this. So with this one, you are creating a custom frame. Let's say we want to create a user interface for a mobile phone. So we are going to click here on the frame and then we are going to go to mobile. Let's say we want to create a user interface for an Android. You are going to go here and just click here. As you can see, this is the size for an Android mobile phone. And then what if maybe you don't like this option? You can click here and press delete on your keyboard and then go back to frame again, and then you can choose another option. So let's just choose any for now. As you can see, we don't really see the difference between the foreground and the background, or we don't see the difference between the background and our canvas or page. So what you can do, make sure you are clicking on the background, the entire project, not in a frame. Make sure you click outside the frame. You will see this color value, and then you can click here and make the background darker a little bit. So this helps you to bring a contrast between the background and the foreground. So after you are done with that, as you can see, this screen is more like fitting the entire area. Maybe you might not want that. How do you solve this problem? If you look here on the top right, there is 80%, which is the zooming option. Let's just decrease here and see what will happen. Control zoom out. As you can see, now the screen has been zoomed out a little bit, so meaning that you can be able, maybe when you are dragging and dropping an image, you've got some room to drag the image outside the frame and play around with that. So now we are done with creating a frame. Now let's talk about renaming a frame. Obviously, you might want to rename your screens, maybe screen 1, screen 2, screen 3, or maybe according to the purpose and essence of the UI: homepage, dashboard, and login. So how would you go about doing that? So you can just click on the name here. You can just double click there, and let's say this is home page, and then you can click enter. What if maybe you want to create the same screen so that you can create the second screen from this template or size? You can just click the frame and press Ctrl D. As you can see, I have just duplicated this frame. So what I will do, I will come here, and then from then I will type login. Okay, let's say now you want to save the whole project. In Figma, since it's online, you don't really have to save the project. It's being saved automatically. To me, this was the game changer for Figma. I am used to CorelDRAW, Illustrator, or Photoshop. These are desktop-based applications. Well, not all of them, they differ. But with CorelDRAW, I've just realized that I used to have some minor issues when the program has crashed while I'm working. This means that I have lost a lot of work that I have done. In most cases, I used to start from scratch. Now, let's go to Figma on the web. Everything is being saved automatically. If you can save the window right now, your work is already saved. But however, this doesn't mean that you are not supposed to rename your project. Naming things is very important. Now, let's name the project. So if you want to name your project, you can go to this draft. And then from then, let's say UI dash course. As you can see, this project has been renamed to UI-course. Now that we are done with it, let's just see what are the options under the frame. As you can see, we've got a frame, we've got a section, and we've got slice. More about these on a different course, since this is just for beginners to get you going. Now let's start from here. As you can see here, you've got a move option and a scale option. When you want to quickly toggle to the move option, you press V. When you want to toggle to the scale option, you press K. This is very important, more especially as a beginner. If you don't understand this, you might struggle to resize things here on Figma. Let me just give you an example. Let's say you've got a text that you want to scale. Then you can click here. You can type something. For now, what we can do, since this screen is very small, we can just delete these screens. And we can create our own canvas or our own frame, the one that is going to be bigger and is going to fill the entire screen. I'm happy with this. Now, let's say you've got your text here. Okay. Let me change the size to be a little bit bigger. As you can see, this text is a little bit bigger. But now, let's say I want to scale it, okay? If you can click here and scale it, as you can see, it doesn't scale. When you want to scale down, as you can see, it doesn't scale. So what can we do in this case? Remember, we said we've got move and also we've got scale. So if you want to scale this, you must come here and click scale, and then from there you can scale it, meaning that when you are scaling it, the whole text or the whole object is scales proportionally. Okay, so meaning that when you press V, it means that you are interested in the detail and customizing the actual element. Okay, so let me show you an example. So what I want you to do now, as I'm toggling between V and K, just look at what is going on here on this properties panel. Now I am on K. I'm going to make a shortcut. As you can see here, it's either we press V on the keyboard or we press K. Now automatically we are on K for scaling. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to press V. As you can see, when we press V, we've got more option. But when we click again and press K, we've got less option. So if you want to know if you are on V or you are on K, K for scaling and V for moving, you can check based on the sizes or based on this display of the properties panel. If you've got a lot of things here, you must know that you are already on the move option. If you've got less options just like this one, this means that you are exactly on the K option for scaling. I hope you got that one. If you might have any questions, feel free to check or feel free to comment, to shoot a comment in the down below. Now let's continue. Let me delete this. Now let's continue. Now you can see that we've got the move and we've got the scale. Let's see what are the use of these. Let's say we want to create a random shape, and then if we want to move it around, as you can see, we are already on the move. Okay, so we can move this and scale it and do whatever that you want. We can change the width and we can change the height. So basically this is for moving objects around the screen. And then as we have demonstrated before, that we've got the scale option. When you want to some sort of scale things proportionally, this is very important. Proportion in design, it's very important. Imagine if you can take a picture and then take it to a design program and only increase the width of it. It means that it's going to look squashed, meaning that you are supposed to scale the picture or the image up instead of increasing the width, because once you increase the width only, you are tampering with the proportion of the actual image, which is professionals don't do that. Even people who know nothing about design, they can see that there is something wrong with the image. Let's say you are trying to fight with the laws of nature. Okay, so let's continue. Now that you know how to use the move tool and also you know how to use the scale tool, we are already done with the frame tool. Now let's say you want to create your own custom shapes. So what we want to do here, you can come here. As you can see, the shortcut is R. You can come here and create your own shape. Figma makes it easier for you to create the rounded corners. As you can see, these dots here, they are helping you to easily create some rounded corners. What you can do with shapes also, you can give them a custom feel, which is a certain color. So if you want to do that, you can come here and change the color here. Let's go back to rounding the corners. As you can see, now it looks like the rounded corners have disappeared. Okay, so how do you then make sure that you still get the rounded corners? What you can do, you can rely on zooming the object in and out up until you see the rounded corners. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the touchpad of my laptop to zoom in and out, but feel free to zoom manually. So let's zoom in and let's zoom out. Let's click the object. As you can see, guys, now we can see these. Let's zoom in. When you zoom in, you can see them. Let's zoom out until we don't see the rounded corner option. As you can see, at a certain distance, you won't see the rounded corners. Okay, as you can see now, they have disappeared. But as soon as you zoom in, as you can see, they are starting to pop in. And then let's just go through the properties that the configuration of any shape. Okay, so once you click this shape, as you can see here, under design, please bear in mind you have to always note that where you are. Sometimes as a beginner, by mistake, you click on the prototype and you won't see more options here and you might be confused. So always make sure you are on the design tab. Now, here, what you can do, you've got some tools for aligning things. These tools are used by professionals. When you are creating a poster or a UI, at some point, these are not the things which are physically in front of you. Remember, as much as design has got an element of art in it, but we are not artists, meaning that we don't have the paint and the brush in front of us. So sometimes it's not easy when you are working with more than 50 objects in the canvas. It's not easy for you to know what aligns to where. So what do professionals do in that case? Professionals, they rely on these tools. For instance, you can select all the object and align them top. Automatically, all their edges will be aligned on the top and they will always be on the same place. Or you can align them left, bottom, or you can just center things using these options. So these options are very important. So now let's check what you can do with these options. Okay, let's just click on this shape and click one of these. As you can see, once we are done clicking this, it automatically moves to the center of the page. Makes your life easier. Imagine trying to fiddle to find the center of a page. Time consuming, right? So with these options, they make it easier for you to quickly move things to a certain place. So as you can see, once we click it here, it moves to the left. And once we click this one, it moves to the right, this one to the bottom, and this one to the top. What is interesting about this option, it also works on aligning shapes themselves or design element themselves. So what we are going to do, let's duplicate this shape. How can we do that? We can use the traditional Control-C, Control-V on Windows. Control-C, Control-V. As you can see, we've just got a copy of the same shape, but we can delete that, and then click here and press Control-D for duplicating. Let's just quickly test. As you can see, we have just created a copy of the same object. Now, let's just play around with the sizes a little bit. Control-C, Control-V. Okay, let me make this small just to make sure that these are not aligning. Okay, just to make sure that these are not aligning. As you can see, now we've got chaos. As a designer, whether you are a graphic designer or you are a UI designer, this is what you do. You create a message out of a mess. So chaos is the enemy of a designer. So if things are like this and you are comfortable with a designer, it means that your skills are not to a level whereby you can work for a company or you can work for a client. Being organized is the first law of design. So what we want to do, we want to arrange these elements in such a way that they all start from the top. Not only they start from the top, but they need to align. As you can see, if we can do this, my apologies about that. If we can do this manually, it will mean we have to take this one and take this one and take this one and take this one. As you can see, this is somewhat there. Okay, but if you zoom in, we might make some mistake. Okay, because we are human beings. When objects are too far, at some point they look like they are aligning. But as a professional, how can you make sure that they are aligning? This is where you need to rely on the tools that I told you about. So let's just highlight everything here. In fact, let's just click one and press shift and click this one, and click this one. Okay, yes. So now let's just click here. As you can see, these are aligning to the top. Now I am 100% sure that these are aligning. Maybe with the digital world and the digital space, these might not be things that can be noticed by the users, let's say. But since I've got huge experience with the printing background, in printing, things look small in your computer. In printing, you can have a billboard right in front of your screen or inside your screen. Imagine how big the billboard is. Now, if you are careless with aligning things, you might think that, well, it's just a minor distance. This is the computer, and we are talking about real life, a billboard. Whatever you say it's a minor distance, it might be a meter when you are printing the actual size. So making sure that things align and using the computer to align things will save you a lot of time. I would like to assume even in design, if things they don't align, there will be a point in time where it's going to be noticeable. Let's say under what circumstances in the UI design things can be seen that they are not aligning. When you start to animate things, meaning that this shape might get into the bottom of this one and this one might overlap this one. Right there, you can see, more especially if the colors are different, you can start to see that these shapes, they are not aligning. So let's continue. So as you can see, guys, these are very important. Let me delete some of these. Okay, and then let's continue to the second row. So as you click here, you can see that we've got the X and Y values, we've got W and H. So in terms of the X, this is the X value. This is the position of the element relative to, let's say, in the entire screen. This is the X value and this is the Y value. This you are going to use, but at this point in time as a beginner, you are not going to use this like more often. Let me just give you an idea or give you a scenario where you want really to use the X and Y values. Let's say you are creating, you are composing shapes. Okay, so you want these shapes to be one on top of the other and they must align exactly. Okay, maybe the first layer has got a certain width, has been twisted a little bit, and the second one has got a slight variation, but you want these to be one on top of the other. This means that what you will do, let's say we've got these two shapes. Let me just change the color. Okay, we've made some small changes here. And then what we want to do, let me just bring the red one to the front. So now what I want to do, I want the red one to be in the exact position as the light red one. So that is where you can use the X and Y values, meaning that I am going to copy the X value of this and paste it here. As you can see, they align, and I'm going to copy its Y value as well and paste it here. As you can see, now they are starting exactly on the same place. Now let's continue. As you can see, we've got the width and height, something that I think you are familiar with. More important on the width and height, it's locking the aspect ratio. All design program, they have got these features. Okay, all design tools and software or application, they are like water and syrup, which makes an energy drink or any drink. Okay, it's sweet and it has got water, sugar and water. So the same thing happens here. Whatever that I'm teaching you here, it's available on Photoshop, it's available on CorelDRAW, and it's available on Illustrator. Maybe the naming might be different. Maybe Photoshop and the Adobe suite might refer to a page to as an artboard. CorelDRAW refers to it as a page. Figma refers to it as a frame. So the terminology might be different, but the essence is the same. The tools are the same. So let's talk about locking the aspect ratio. Let's say, let me just make a practical example of an image. Let's just look for an image of a bird, and we are going to copy this image. Okay, copy the image. Let's paste it on Figma. Okay, we have talked about scaling objects, more especially pictures, and also tampering with the proportion. Okay, let's say I hope okay, this is not going to give me exactly what I want based on how I have added this image. As you can see now, what is happening, Figma is scaling this image proportionally in the background under the hood. Maybe on the advanced course I will demonstrate this exactly the way I'm supposed to, since I don't want to some sort of move away from the essence of what I'm explaining to you now. So for now, let's just say this let's say this is an image, and then if you scratch only this becomes a problem. And also if you make this, okay, to this image, this is also a problem. So how can you make sure that this scales proportionally? This is how you can do that. Make sure you always lock your aspect ratio. Okay, this chain icon here is for that. And then what you can do now, okay, let's see, undo. Okay, let's just quickly lock again. As you can see, make sure that this is locked. Now what you can do when you come here, okay, and try to move this, as you can see, it scales proportionally. Let's see if we can scale, we can change or modify one dimension, meaning that we are going to modify the height and we are not going to modify the width. And let's see what will happen to the width. Okay, let's click here. This is clicked, and we're going to modify the width. Let's say make it 10 and click enter. Okay, as you can see, even though it's small, but what happens, the width is adjusted automatically. Okay, now let's make it 100. As you can see, never mind about the border radius there, but the width and height, it scales proportionally. Let's make this 300. As you can see, the width and height stays proportionally. In case you might want to know proportions in real life, if you look at your TV screen, the home television or flat screen, there is always a ratio there, which is maybe 6:9 or 16:9. So this means that this is the ratio of the width according to or as compared to the height. So this is very important. So now let's continue, guys. And then after that, you are having this option, which is for rotating. Let's just type 45 here and see. As you can see, guys, this rotates. What you can do, you can also rotate this manually by clicking on it, and then from then and moving it around. Okay, what I'm going to show you now differs from graphic design application, from one graphic design application to the other. It differs, but in most cases, what you will do, you can press shift and then rotate it. As you can see, it rotates in steps, so that if you want to rotate it 90 degrees, you've got a chance to. To some others, you press shift. To some others, you press control. You just have to see which one. And then from then, if you don't want to make some rounded corners here, as you can see, guys, you can come here and make the rounded corners here. Okay, let me just make 10 here. As you can see, okay, let me just zoom in. As you can see, guys, and then if I make 100 here, as you can see, here is the effect. Let's say now you want to change certain corners, but you don't want to round all the corners. Okay, so what you can do, let's zoom in here. Okay, what you can do, as you can see, these are the option. What you can do, you can just go here and click here. so that you can choose which corner do you want to have more of the radial effect, and which one you want to have, let's say, less of a radial effect. As you can see, okay, even here we can set this independently of the other ones. Okay, let's just check here. As you can see, you can make some different shapes out of this. Okay, so let me just give you another tip. Why would someone make a perfect circle out of a shape of a square instead of just taking an ellipse tool here, taking an ellipse tool and creating a circle like this? When you are creating an avatar in an application, you might have different forms of avatar. Okay, let me just make an example. Let me copy this image again, and then let me go here and let me paste it here. As you can see, as I'm pasting it here, it gets inside this shape. Now let's say I am also pasting it inside this shape, and let's make it a perfect square. My apologies about that. Let's make this a perfect square by holding shift at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to paste the same image inside this shape, as you can see. Now if I want to make this a full circle, I can just go here. Let's just apply what we have learned recently and check. As you can see, guys, this is a perfect circle. But at the same time, this one, okay, if we've got a variation of an avatar, which is an avatar that is slightly different, it means that with this one we can come here maybe and type 100 here. Okay, maybe let's type 50, let's say. As you can see, guys, okay, now we've got different variation, or we've got a variant of an avatar. So that is the use case of creating an avatar from a perfect square instead of the actual eclipse. Okay, so I hope you are learning, guys. If you do, please don't forget, you can check my coding channel, Coded Design, where I can teach you how to practically apply the user interface, which is awesome, that you have designed, learning here at Coded UI. Also, you can join my newsletter by checking the link in the description below. This is where you get updated with the future resources that I am going to distribute, which I can't distribute on YouTube because YouTube, it's a video first platform. I can't share PDFs and other things. So let's continue, guys. Let me zoom out. So we've got this shape. Okay, we've got this shape. We are done with this section. Now we are here in this section. Okay, this section, I'm not going to get into it now because I might take longer giving you skills which are not directly related or going to help you to quickly wrap your head around Figma. Okay, so let's just skip this layer for now. Okay, now let's get into let's change this color, make it 100% red. My apologies about that. Let's make this red. And then what you can do here, as you can see, you can change the transparency. Okay, let's say you want this to be 50. Okay, let me just get this image again so that it can act as a background. Okay, then I am going to scale it up, pressing shift at the same time, and I'm going to send it to the back. Okay, so as you can see, guys, this is the transparent effect. Okay, so now let me make this 80. Okay, and let me change the color to be a little bit dark so that you can see this effect when it takes place. Okay, let's make this 90. Okay, in design there is something called a blend mode. Sometimes you want to mix colors, okay, in an essence, in a true sense of the word, mixing colors. Let's say you had a red color and a green color. If you mix those, they will give you a different color. The same thing is possible in the world of graphics and design. We call those blend modes. It's different from transparency because transparency just gives an illusion of a see-through. With blend mode, you are combining the image and the color or and the layer, okay? Or if we are talking about colors, you are combining these colors to give you a new color. So the new color, it's not like it's this paint on top of this one. No, it's a combination. It's more like a blend. Okay, think of a blender at home. These things are blended, okay, to form maybe a fruit juice. We've got the same thing here in design. Different graphic design application, they give different names to these techniques, but the core essence is the same. It's blending. So maybe in Photoshop it might be referred to as, let's say, color mixing. In CorelDRAW it might be referred to as blend mode. Okay, here in Figma it might be referred to as a different thing, but the essence is the same. So let me show you the effect of that. So now what we want to do, we want the pass through of this layer, the colored layer, okay, to be multiplied. Okay, just look at what happens now. Obviously, it looks like it's transparency, but believe me, it's not. It's a blend now of the foreground layer to the background layer. Let's check a different one. As you can see, guys, okay, these are different blend modes or blending option. As you can see, guys, I think this one give us the exact definition or illustration of what we are talking about, which is overlay. So I'm just going to click overlay and I'm going to keep on changing this color and see what will be the effect as we change the color. Okay, let's look at that. As you can see, it looks like now this color, as it is being blended with the image, it also manipulates the actual pixels, the actual construction of the actual image. I hope you do get that one. This is the part that beginners, it's difficult for them. Number one, this feature, it's not widely used. Not everyone is aware of it because of its complexity, okay, or it's not easy to understand what's going on. So the idea of blending, that concept, it's not widely known by people. As a result, most people, they don't use it. Now I'm going to explain the use case. When would you use this? Okay, let's see. Okay, now let me search for a flare. Okay, let me search for a flare, an image of a flare. Let me look for a darker one, the one that is a little bit dark, because it's going to do exactly what we want. Let me just click any of these. I was hoping to get, yes, let's take this one. Okay, this is a flare. Then let's paste it here. Okay, as you can see, guys, this is a black image and there is some sort of a small radial glow in the middle. Okay, let's say a client requires that the eye of this bird have this flare. Okay, how are you going to achieve that? Then this is where blending option comes handy and help you to create some cool effects, I can say. The approach here will be maybe to use Photoshop to remove all the black part of the design or the image. Well, that's possible, but it's going to take some time. So let's look at the effect of the blend modes and what they can do. Okay, so if you look at this, what we can do, we can just go to this, and then from here what we will do, we are going to the pass through and let's look for the one that will give us exactly what we want. Okay, as you can see, guys, lighten, seemingly it's getting there, giving us what we want, but it's not 100%. Let's check screen. As you can see, guys, screen has given us exactly what we want. We've got a bird with superpowers. Okay, this was just a preview, okay, of a course that is coming in. This is going to be a detailed course. Okay, so if you might want to join that course, please guys, just check the link in the description below. The course is going to be a paid course, but believe me, the amount is going to be affordable. I hope you have learned something.